What you are listening to now is the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast, number 346.2, the IU Report with Grant Shouse. This week talking some football, the top returning players, and Grant gives his surprise players to watch. Plus, IU basketball is headed to Puerto Rico, and we break that down as well. We have an IU report every single week. And, of course, as the season approaches, football and basketball, we will preview every game and have a reaction after. Please join us.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome, Hoosier fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for today's IU Report with Grant Shouse. I am joined by Grant Shouse out here at the Elwood Golf Course where I grew up. In fact, Grant, we are right now sitting where I won a couple of blue ribbons and some swim meets right here in the middle of it, in the middle of the pool. Where I was
the pool was right here.
We were on the pool and checking out the hot lifeguards, and that was my life as a child. So brings back memories, although it's no longer a pool, which is kind of sad, but still very cool place out here and a nice golf course. Really, that back nine. It's new since I moved out of town. Thanks to Dakin Updegraft and the Elwood Golf Course for hosting us on Tuesday nights. On Wednesdays, we're over at Tipton at the golf course there talking different sports. But today we are here with Grant Shouse, and we're also joined by Will Rutherford, although he may not have a lot to say. Welcome, guys. Grant, we are getting there, almost to Old Dominion time. Opening weekend is just a couple of weekends away. I believe 4 weeks from now, 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
3.5 weeks, and it's time to talk some Hoosier football and start getting down to the serious stuff. Like, let's check out the roster, of course. Grant is our IU expert, our insider, the guy who knows everything about IU sports. So he's going to break down the roster for me. And Grant, I want to start with taking an outsider perspective, someone who doesn't know anything about IU football. Tell him who to look out for this year.
You're about as good as your quarterback is, and Indiana, I think there's some questions coming in on how Fernando Mendoza is going to adapt to a new system, a new coach. It helps you got his brother Alberto, who's already on the roster as a fourth string quarterback, and Fernando Mendoza, I believe, was the most sacked quarterback in the entire FBS last year. So now that they're going to put him behind an offensive line that is going to be better than Cal's, I'm not going to say it's going to be good just because I haven't seen it yet, but you would imagine it'll be pretty good. And so I think that'll help him be able to scramble more and get open and throw the football better than he did at Cal. And he still had really good numbers at Cal, over 3,000 yards through the air.
Grant, some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time were the most sacked quarterbacks. Yeah. Roger Staubach was the most sacked quarterback, despite having an entirely Hall of Fame offensive line in front of him. Because those guys are usually the better athletes who think they can keep plays alive. Is that what we're looking at?
I think maybe. I think only time will tell with that, but that's a good question. I think you'll know more probably after the first game. After Old Dominion, you'd know a little more about that. But Indiana, and I know we'll talk about it, so I don't want to give it away, but Indiana's got a good offensive line, and they're going to be able to protect him better. That offensive line, I think, fell apart at the end of last season. It was not good against Ohio State. It was not good against Notre Dame.
Well, a lot of offensive lines aren't good against those teams.
And just looking at it compared to years past, that offensive line, they have a good O-line coach in Bob Bostad, who's coached a long time and was at Indiana with Tom Allen, and Kurt Signetti retained him off of the old staff, and he's worked with that O-line. And I've always thought the most important positions on the field are your 5 linemen, your 6 linemen, you bring in another tight end, and then your quarterback. So they always have to work together. And Fernando Mendoza, I know, took the entire offensive line at Indiana out to dinner the other night on him, paid for it at St. Elmo's. How about that?
Nice.
And I think that shows a testament just to kind of how he operates, how good of a guy he is. You know, you're taking your O-line out to eat, you're paying for it, and I think that's a real special thing, and it shows good bond with your team. And I think Mendoza will be all right, and I think he's one of the best quarterbacks. I think he'll be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten.
How certain are we that Mendoza is going to be the starter opening weekend?
I'd say about 99.8%. I have a hard time believing that it wouldn't be anyone other than Fernando Mendoza. Grant Wilson is, I believe, probably going to be the second-string quarterback. He actually is an Old Dominion transfer.
Whoa!
So he may get in the game against his former team, but Mendoza's obviously the better quarterback. Everybody pretty much knows he's going to be the starting quarterback week 1.
Tell me about his weapons.
Well, out of the backfield, you got a new transfer and a running back named Roman Hemby, who was the leading rusher for Maryland, who ran all over the field against Indiana last year, which is a good transfer pickup. Another running back named Lee Beebe Jr. coming over from UAB, which will be another weapon, probably the second main back that will get a lot of carries out of the backfield, just depending how they run their offense. And of course, you know, the wide receivers, Elijah Surratt's back, who could be, I think, could end up being a first-round draft pick. I saw today a thing on him where he started at St. Francis University, an FCS school out in, I think it's New Jersey. He started out there and then transferred to JMU with Signetti and played a year at JMU, and then came over to Indiana last year and over 1,000 yards receiving. He's one of those where, like, he's not getting the ball every play. Like, every pass play, you don't throw it to him. But he's one of those, when he does get the ball, it almost seems like every time he caught the ball last year is for a first down or a touchdown. You know, it's not like they throw it to him because he's the most athletic. They throw it to him because he's the most skilled. He is athletic. He arguably probably could be the most athletic receiver. He's the most skilled, and I think he's got some of the best IQ. And
it's a good combination.
Yeah, and he's going to be one of Mendoza's main targets, I believe. And he was good with Rourke last year. He had a good connection with him, and I think that Surratt probably is up there with also Mendoza as maybe one of the best duos in all of college football, quarterback and wide receiver. I know that's biased, but I mean, you think about the potential, and I think when you see the potential, you know what I mean.
You talked about the offensive line. Give us a rundown. Who's back?
Well, they return a decent amount of that offensive line. A guy named Carter Smith is back this year. The guy I'm the most excited about is Pat Coogan, who's the center. He was the center at Notre Dame last year. He played against Indiana, and Coach Signetti said a big reason getting him here was his girlfriend went to IU. That helps. You know what I mean?
Doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt. So, and he's a graduate student and finishing up at Indiana, and he's a good addition. He in my opinion is maybe the most important addition to their arsenal on that O-line that they got in their entire recruitment class over the offseason. He's big, and then you got a guy coming in from Ohio State named Zen Mikowski, who was played at Ohio State, was a starter at Ohio State last year, and then a guy named Drew Evans is back as well as an offensive lineman, and then we talked about Carter Smith. That O-line, and there's more that I'm probably forgetting about, but those are going to be real key in protecting up front.
Should be a really good defense, and even I, as a Purdue fan, Grant, know some names on the defense coming back. Starting, I think you got to start with D'Angelo Pons, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love that dude. He's a great player and one of the best slot corners. I think one of the best slot corners in the country, and he's going to be asked to do a lot on that defense in the secondary. And then you factor in you have another guy that's a a middle linebacker in the linebacker room named Kellen Wyatt, who also comes in from Maryland with Roman Hemby. That's a big addition to that defense. And then another guy named Tyreek Tucker up front, who's going to be the nose tackle, will play significant minutes. But I think the two most important guys, you mentioned Pons, and yes, he's important, and he's a great player. But I think the two better players on defense are linebacker Aiden Fisher, who's
Good one.
the anchor of that defense, and then Mikhail Kamara, who's an edge rusher, are two of the most important pieces that that team has. And that defense is going to revolve around them, and you're going to see them be in almost every play, if not every play, of every game, as long as they stay healthy, knock on wood. So I like that defense this year. They have one of the best coordinators in the country in Bryant Haynes, and I want to shout him out. He followed me on Twitter the other day. That's
Nice.
huge. That's huge. So
Love you, Coach Haynes.
hopefully he's listening. Hopefully he knows that we're giving those guys some praise, and rightfully so, because Indiana's going to have another good defense. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be the best defense in the country, because I don't
What
think
level
it will
defense
be.
will it be?
I think if you had to give it a letter grade, I think it's not an A+, but it's not a B. I think it's an A- defense.
One of the best in the country, then.
One of the best, but not
Not elite.
the best. You know what I mean?
Right. Not
I
up
think
there
it's
with
it's under the elite tier, whatever you would constitute that as. I think it's right under the elite tier.
somewhere behind Texas and Penn State.
Yeah, and Oregon and probably Ohio State and probably Notre Dame and just pick them. I mean, they're probably behind those schools, but I think it's still going to be one of the best in the conference. It's still going to be, I think, a top 15 to top 20 in the nation.
Everybody, please excuse the wind. It's awfully nice being able to podcast out here at the golf course, but we will get a little bit of wind. Not a lot, but a tiny bit. Let's just go ahead and stay on the defensive side, and I want to ask you a different question. For IU fans now who are familiar with the team, who are some of the players to watch out for who are going to be the complementary pieces, or maybe someone who's going to jump up and be a star this year, who people may not be familiar with?
You know, like I mentioned with Tyreek Tucker, that's going to be a big name to watch out. One guy I didn't mention who's a transfer from Western Kentucky, Hosea Wheeler, defensive tackle up front, big dude up front. I mean, you look at his film, he had a really great film, and I like this whole defense, but Wheeler up front's going to be big for them, along on that same side with Kamara, and then you factor in the middle linebacker, Elijah Hardy, who's taking a big step. He's going to be a sophomore. And then one guy, I can't believe I didn't mention him, Amari Farrell, strong safety, going to be big in that secondary with Pons. And then they add in another safety transfer, Lewis Moore, who was at Indiana originally with Tom Allen and left and went to Ole Miss last season and now is back with Indiana. So I think those are kind of the breakout guys. I think Elijah Hardy could be a huge breakout guy for Indiana this year as a linebacker.
All right, and join us again next week when we talk some more IU football. We're going to be talking a lot of IU football between now and the season. And then once the season begins, you won't even believe how much IU football we're going to talk.
Yeah, we're going to have, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to have a reaction after every game.
We're going to preview every game.
Yeah,
we have a Hoosier report every week. We're I think I counted 166 IU segments this coming calendar year.
Awesome. Can't wait.
And let's just be honest, Grant. As much as we love IU football, the number one draw for IU is still IU basketball. No matter, they could probably win a national championship in football. Basketball is king around here. So let's talk a little IU basketball. A nice exhibition, 3-game exhibition in Puerto Rico. A really good chance for Coach DeVries to see his team. We're hoping a good chance for fans to see the Hoosiers. We don't know if it's going to be televised, right?
No, don't know yet, and hopefully it will be. If it's not televised, at least live stream somewhere. You know, teams that go on that, sometimes they'll stream it on their social media, and you can watch it on there. So hopefully we'll get to see that. But it's going to be important for Indiana to have a good showing down there and see what they can do against, I believe they're playing the Puerto Rican team.
Yeah, I got it right here. August 6th. So that is Wednesday. Playing Universidad de Bayamón from Puerto Rico. I would assume that would be an easy win at 7 o'clock in Carolina, Puerto Rico. Then they go to Coliseo Roberto Clemente, named after one of my all-time heroes, in the capital of San Juan, and they will play a professional Serbian team called Mega Superbet at 7 o'clock on Saturday. And then on Tuesday at 11 a.m., they will play the same Serbian team, Mega Superbet, back in Carolina, Puerto Rico. So coming up in the next few days, man, I really hope we get to see this because I'm really curious about this team.
Mega Superbet.
Mega Superbet.
That doesn't even sound like a real team, you know?
But I promise you that they can play basketball in Serbia.
Oh, yes. You know,
it's going to be a good test.
It's a little off topic here, but it goes with what I'm talking about, I think, is that I have a friend who lives in Germany, and she was saying about how, like, she enjoys watching basketball over in Europe, in Germany. And I said, well, Europe arguably is starting to have better basketball than the United States. And she's like, no, I don't believe that. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I think those Eastern European countries like Serbia and Yugoslavia, I don't even know if that exists anymore, but especially Serbia.
It was part of Yugoslavia.
Yeah, they have some really good players, you know.
Great players.
I mean, maybe the is Jokic? He's from Serbia,
greatest
right?
player in the world.
Yeah, and then you have Luka Doncic, who's also from over there too. So that area of the world does produce good basketball, and I think I'm not saying that they produce the best basketball because I do think us here in the United States,
but the gap is definitely closed.
Yeah, like I think still here in the United States, we also produce good basketball, especially
It's not
in
an
Indiana.
outrageous thing to say, though.
No,
Grant,
it's not.
that Europe is starting to at least pull close to even, if not.
Yeah, I mean,
especially in its youth levels, because basketball is as big as soccer over there now.
Of course, and basketball's taught different over there now. It's coached differently over there now. It's actually coached better over there nowadays, arguably. Especially with the youth development. It's coached better than here in America with AAU and travel ball, that kind of stuff. That's a whole other conversation for another day, but it'll be a good test for Indiana to play against what I would assume with Mega Superbet to be a really good Serbian team. And they may not. Yeah, I mean, they may not be a good team. we have no idea.
I have a feeling that it's going to be a really tough test. Now, also a really good chance, you said Wednesday, right?
Yes.
A really good chance to get a win and kind of show at what everybody has, because that should be, I would assume, a college team in Puerto Rico is not going to be able to challenge IU.
I think us as Indiana fans should not look at results from this, and unfortunately, a lot of fans will take results in terms of if it went good or bad. I think watch the product on the floor. Don't look at results, because the results may be good, they may be bad, but I think watch what Indiana is able to do. I would say watch what they're able to do in terms of how they move the ball, how they space the floor. What's the offense look like? Are we really going to be running an offense?
Who stands out, I think, is going to be the most, because it's a bunch of guys that we know are pretty good, but other than DeVries, I'm not sure we know much more.
Well, it's definitely going to be coached better in this type of situation than when Indiana went down there in the past. Indiana's been down there. I don't believe it was Puerto Rico, but it was in the Bahamas, and they went to
They have not been to Puerto Rico for a long time.
And there is a reason why.
There is a reason why.
So we'll just have to see how all that plays out. But I think it'll be a good experience for those guys on the team to do those kind of things. They've had alumni come back here the last few weeks. Cody Zeller was back a few weeks ago. Nice. Victor Oladipo was back last week as well and practiced with the team. I know he's looking to make a comeback into the NBA. Man, I wish that dude had some eligibility left. I know he's injury-riddled, unfortunately, but I think it's good to have those guys come back to your program, especially with a coach that like they don't know this dude. Now it does help that they do have Kenny Johnson on the
Brand new
staff.
roster, brand new coach.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity.
And Kenny Johnson was on the staff when Zeller and Oladipo would have played there in the Crean era, and he left and now is back with Indiana. So it's good to have those guys back. And, you know, Luke Goody did not get a waiver approved by the NCAA, which is not surprising. I kind of figured he wouldn't get that approved. But up until he was denied that waiver, he was working out and practicing with the team. And I think it's good for those guys to go up and down with a guy like him who's played in the system before and kind of knows Indiana. I'm not sure it really matters, but we'll just have to see how they do in Puerto Rico. And when we talk next week, hopefully we'll be talking about something good, and hopefully we will have been able to see video. And I have a strong belief that we will be able to see video from it, if not a whole game, you know, clips from games, and that'll be really good as a fan base. I think it'll be good for those players.
There are ticket packages out there for people to go. Just make sure when you record it, you tag us on the Twitter so we
please.
What happened. Yeah,
Thank
please.
you. Would appreciate that.
Thanks, Grant. Appreciate it, and we will talk some more IU next week.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks so much to Grant for joining me every week for the Hoosier Report. Always appreciate it. Please do us a favor and share this podcast with the IU fans in your life. Help spread the word about the Central Indiana Sports Report. And we're here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.